There's kind of this term that shows up with these underworld myths is, we go into this dark night of the soul where we feel disconnected from everything. We feel like there's no meaning to life. We feel this existential dread. We kind of think, why am I in so much pain? Or why am I suffering? Why did this happen? And myths and these archetypes can help us kind of recognize this is part of life, is that we go through darkness and shadow and pain, and we heal and integrate and find new layers of resilience and new layers of authenticity. And so it's kind of recognizing, okay, I'm down in another descent, and it makes meaning out of this really messy human journey that we're all on. Yeah.
Yeah, that meaning is such a helpful anchor,
Mm-hmm.
especially during times of grief or transformation or
Yeah.
life change or just exploration. So, Dark Night of the Soul, could we share an example of what that might look like in someone's life? Is that when they lose someone or they are discovering a part of themselves that was hidden, or what might that look like?
Yeah. I think it's kind of those moments where it feels like everything has been stripped away, whether we've gone through a trauma, we've gone through a loss, even a loss of identity, whether that's a
Yeah.
career shift or burnout or an illness, things like that. It just feels like, who am I and why am I here?
Yeah.
And I think that's that pattern of just sitting in that darkness and recognizing that this darkness is actually this place of transformation. It kind of reminds me of, a butterfly in the cocoon, right? You kind of
Yeah.
like fall apart and come together. That's kind of how I
Yes.
view that dark night of the soul, where everything gets stripped away and everything feels so dark and disconnected, but it's this pattern of putting everything together and kind of coming out transformed. Like we're always going to be changed by this
Right.
darkness, but that change can actually be this really incredible new layer of our human journey.
So we don't have to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's like with anything, this is a very simple example, but we talked about this in grad school, but you have to take everything out of the closet first to organize it and put it all
Hmm.
back together. Same thing
Yeah.
happens with like surgery or any
Hmm.
type of transformation. It gets messy before it
Yeah.
gets beautiful again. And that feels reassuring, especially in that inner darkness when you feel kind of
Hmm.
hopeless or confused or uncertain. It's like, no, there's a butterfly coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And so with myths, specifically, because I know this is something you use a lot, how can we use them to move through our transformation of the chrysalis to the butterfly, and what does that look like?
Yeah. I think one thing that I really love about myths is there's no judgment that comes with them. They're all these kind of characters. I'm really personally drawn to kind of the Greek and Roman mythology. That's part of my ancestry, and so
Hmm.
I've been so drawn to them. And they're just so dramatic. There's just so much like cool drama. But when I think of their journeys, they have this intense jealousy that happens, or these traumas that they go through, or these really wild awakenings that they go through. But every time that you explore them, there's this new nugget of wisdom, and we can often see ourselves in maybe a less dramatic version of ourselves. But oh, yeah, you know what? I do have that jealousy part of me, or I
Yeah.
do have that despair, or I do have that part of me that feels like I can't be myself, or that I'm overcoming, obstacles. And so through looking at myths, we can kind of see like I'm going through this just as how many generations of other humans have gone through this.
Right. So normalizing.
Hmm. It normalizes it, and it's just this experience of this just is just like this dark now this is part of the human journey. We all have
Yeah.
these things we need to look at and process, and so myths is this, I think, a lot less of a shamey way to kind of drop in and look at them, and look at parts of ourselves that maybe would be a little more scary to look at otherwise.
Yeah.